Hello everybody, welcome to Going to Ground on Thursday. How's your week going? It's been a pretty intense one for me, I have to say. And again, no real time this morning to post from outside, and it was too blowy anyway. Really stormy couple of days, and it would have been too noisy to do anything early morning in any case. So I thought I'd just post again at the end of a full day with a few thoughts about Elizabeth Jennings, one of the great poets of the 20th century. There she is, Elizabeth, born in the mid-1920s, and writes a lot of, she's a Christian poet, I guess you'd say, or a poet who's a Christian, and wrote this book, which I've only part read, but is very good, the part that I've read, Every Changing Shape, Mystical Experience, and the Making of Poetry, or Making of Poems. She believes that, as we've explored on occasion, mystical experience springs from the same creative source as the writing of poetry. Although she acknowledges at the beginning that mysticism is one of the most misunderstood and misused words in the English language, and tends to be employed to describe anything of which we're vaguely aware, vaguely spiritual, mysteriously so. But she gives it the precision that it's been used in the Western Christian tradition, which is, she describes the experimental perception of God's presence and being. I like that, the experimental perception of God's presence and being. And so mysticism seeks union with God. And it's that kind of experimenting, that searching for God. R.S. Thomas wrote one of his poetry books called Experimenting with an Amen, which I love. I think it's a phenomenal title. And again, that's got that same imaginative sense of making an approach to God. Again, back to the roots. Is it this way? So I thought I'd just read a couple of Elizabeth Jennings poems to conclude the day. And what should we do? This is, yeah, I'll read Answers and then In the Night, which is a good going to bed poem. I kept my answers small and kept them near. Big questions bruised my mind, but still I let small answers be a bulwark to my fear. The huge abstractions I kept from the light. Small things I handled and caressed and loved. I let the stars assume the whole of night. But the big answers clamoured to be moved into my life. Their great audacity shouted to be acknowledged and believed. Even when all small answers build up to protection of my spirit, still I hear big answers striving for their overthrow, and all the great conclusions coming near. How about that for a last line? All the great conclusions coming near. In the night. Out of my window, late at night, I gape and see the stars, but do not watch them really, and hear the trains, but do not listen clearly. Inside my mind, I turn about to keep myself awake, yet am not there entirely. Something of me is out in the dark landscape. How much am I then what I think, how much what I feel, how much the eye that seems to keep the stars straight? Do I control what I can contemplate, or is it my vision that's amenable? I turn in my mind. My mind is a room whose wall I can see the top of, but never completely scale. All that I love is, like the night, outside, good to be gazed at, looking as if it could, with a simple gesture, be brought inside my head or in my heart. But my thoughts about it divide me from my object. Now, deep in my bed, I turn and the world turns on the other side. Well, as you head for bed this evening, I trust that the great thoughts, the dark landscape, and the great conclusions that are drawing near would give you rest, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, hopefully out in the landscape. God be with you and bless you as you go to ground.